The following is a presentation of TFNN. Time to talk about your health. Living a primal lifestyle.
We have Mike from Chicago on the line, and he has a question about digestion.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, guys. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
First of all, I just wanted to say that I love the show. I think it's great programming, and I'm very much of a like mind when it comes to, taking control of your own health and certainly doing your own research.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now your hosts, Nico Haan and Paige Clarke.
Happy Friday, and welcome to Living a Primal Lifestyle, where we analyze and deconstruct the latest news pertaining to your health, fitness, and diet, where we break down what we hear and what we see and see if it makes sense to us. And we encourage your participation by, number one, subscribing to Health Signals newsletter, and, of course, calling us at 877-927-6648. I'm Nico Haan, and this is Paige Clarke, and it's a beautiful day here in downtown Clearwater. In fact, it's 84 degrees and sunny, so it's cooled down a little bit. It's very
we're starting to feel a little fall fling coming in the air.
I hope that's the case, because a lot of times September happens to be one of the hottest months.
Yeah.
But no hurricanes so far, and we're doing pretty good.
Well, speaking of flings, we're talking about flings and fads, and it proves that really diets, we really shouldn't be focused on a certain diet.
Yeah,
research says diets work, but brands don't make much difference, study finds.
Yeah, and when I first saw this, I saw this in the St. Pete Times the other day, and it was interesting because the headline caught me, and I thought it said, pretty much that whatever you do works. Well, of course, if you're going to be eating junk food and things like that, it doesn't work. So that's not what we call a diet. A diet is really changing the way you eat. And what we're doing, of course, is we're eliminating a lot of processed foods no matter what diet we're on.
Or bad rancid oils.
Yeah, or bad rancid oil. So whether you're on a low-carb diet or a low-fat diet, things are going to improve when you just take that first step.
Yeah, there was a study in the Annals of Internal Medicine that was released on Monday that did show that low carbohydrate diets, more of primal, paleo type traditional diet, ancestral diet, does edge out the low fat diets, and that kind of is on the heels of all the research proving that good fats are where it's at, and that we need those in our diet. But I think this is really great, Nico, because as a person I consider myself a holistic health coach. I use healing foods because that's what heals.
Right.
And I think, let's get out of the competition. Remember, let's get more collaborative about whether this diet is the right diet or that diet is the wrong diet. Let's talk about specific foods and recipes. And since when did natural become the alternative,
Yeah.
Let's get back to natural being the alternative. And it's natural for us to care and to be concerned and to be knowledgeable ourselves without the intervention of professionals, doctors, dietitians, or so forth, telling us what we have to have. We need to use our common sense. We need to think about it. We need to meditate about it. We need to pray about it. We need to look at the research. We need to try it on ourselves. And I think pretty much a whole spectrum nutritional approach is the best.
Yeah.
Without those artificial, fake, boxed and bagged packaged things that we talk about.
Well, we know that a lot of people in the yoga practice, we were just talking just before we came on the air, and one of the things they do is go vegan. And, of course, vegan people do look pretty healthy, especially if they're young. And so that really proves the theory that if you take away the junk, you're going to improve. And I think what we're saying in the more ancestral type of diet is that you take it a step further. We're really talking about improving your health over a long term. A longer span. Yeah, and I think all the surveys are kind of proving that. And
there's different science, but, Weston Price found over his, I think it was 40, 50 years. I mean, he traveled well into his 70s, 80s, I believe, 70s or something, doing his work for his seminal work, Nutrition and Physical Degeneration. And he found that there were no vegan, vegetarian societies, primal societies that ate their own natural indigenous diet that had the longevity
In fact, they started with the animal protein sources to prepare their meals. And if you look at most of the food shows that go into these primal areas, go into Patagonia, visit the South American Indians, and visit the cultures there, you're going to find that they start with the meat, with the animal. Very few of them, like you said, are vegan even now. And I was reading an article on the indigenous people, and there's a society that is promoting, in fact, one of the things I'll mention is on my Health Signals newsletter, which is just coming out.
Hot off the press?
Yeah, there's a book review in there, and one of the books mentions that the ancestral American Indians are going back to their ancestral diets to become healthy again. Because
look what happened to the American Indian.
Yes, they became fat.
And I don't think there's any group that's more spiritual and more conscientious than the American Indian, and many of them were hunters and gatherers, as we know.
Yeah.
And yet, look what happened when we civilized the American Indian and put them on the reservations and started giving them us our American heavy grain-based diets. They look like a different species.
So if you go to the last page on my Health Signals newsletter, there's a little link to all the ancestral health videos, and there's about 40-some on there.
That is just a treasure trove right there to have that link.
Yeah, you can just go hit that link, and I don't know if it'll come up here, but when you hit that link, you'll be taken to all the ancestral videos on my website. I've listed them all, and there's hours and hours of research that you can do, and I mean, it's really quite something. Now, one of the first articles in the Health Signals this time is junk food makes rats lose their appetite for balanced meals, and this really shows you the problem we have with the fast food diet. Yes. When you're eating junk food, when you're eating any kind of packaged food, I would say, or even if you go into a health store foods, you're going to find so many processed foods in there because, of course, all your cereals are highly processed, but anything in a can or a box is a processed food. So when you do away with that, you're going to find that your health is going to improve significantly. But what this survey proves, actually an experiment with lab rats, saying that they lose their appetite for anything balanced. They're not going to go back because it's so powerful. It's kind of like giving
a drug.
Exactly. Giving heroin to a rat is the same way. You get the same response.
So when we look at this in a broader stroke here, here is a laboratory animal being given this artificial food type merchandise, and they lose their appetite for true, real food and nutrition. They put on their obesity because their body is becoming obese because it's nutritionally depleted. The body says, I better hold on to something. There might be something here I need. Yeah,
and they don't even have the consciousness of looking in the mirror and saying, hey, I'm fat. All of a sudden, what's going on? Right. They just continually will be eating.
But we see this in the kind of, I call it the unconscious food companies. There are some that are, but for the most part, they're not conscious of how these foods are impacting, or yet maybe they are, because when we eat these foods, what is the result is dis-ease, and I might spell that with D-Y-S, dysfunction. Right. The body has that dysfunction because it's not getting what it needs, and it has too many toxins, not enough nutrition. And so we're seeing this happen. So what we see in these laboratory animals is very much kind of a snapshot of what's happening to our people now.
Yeah. And some good news, folks. We heard from our laboratory, and our new Health Signals newsletter is showing you the Primal Edge, and it's being shipped on Monday to our office. So by the end of the week, I think by next coming Friday, which happens to be my birthday, so it's perfect.
How nice.
We're going to be selling this product, and it's going to be $89.
So we're shooting to be able to have a link that we can talk about on next week's show, where we say, click this link and go order, because we've got the shipments arriving
Now, I wanted
Wednesday,
to mention two things on here. There's a link in here which shows you what is fumic acid, and there's a link directly to articles going deep into the matter of why we're using this as our basis
Right.
And of course, here in the Primal Edge, we address the need to lose weight, the need to sleep better, the need to have less stress, the need to detox. It includes all the soil-based essential vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids a healthy body needs to stay in optimal health, all in one easy liquid.
And folks, I'll tell you, it passes the teenage test taste.
Yeah, isn't that cool that your son just loves it?
Yeah, and so that's good news, because we wanted to find something that was unique, and I do believe that having the most powerful fulvic-humic miracle molecules as the driving force in this product is what makes it so unique.
Yes.
And we get such great results.
Yeah.
So if we had to pick something that everyone could say, look, if I do this once a day, I'm going to be building up this mineral store. Yes, in some situations, you know, I might want to work with people, you might want to work with people to do a little more flooding.
Oh, sure. I do take other things with it. You know, your probiotics, of course. I take some extra fatty acids. And, you know, there's certain products that I use to help my health. But the Primal Edge is really designed an all-in-one. And it's really important to notice that for $89 a month, you can get everything you need. And if you start searching Google and finding really high-quality vitamins, you're going to find that you could be spending $350 a month for all the things that we have in this product.
Well, we've put the fulvic-humic, which is in the natural form. And folks, I want you to understand that fulvic-humic, and there's a bunch of different quality fulvic-humics. Let me assure you, we have the best fulvic-humic on the planet. But fulvic-humic is like is able to transmute. So if you have an abundance of unusable calcium floating around your body, you know that unusable calcium can be a detriment.
Yes, it can.
It can end up in the arteries. It can end up in the eyes as cataracts. You know, we need calcium, but we've got to have it in a usable form. And fulvic-humic helps to create that alchemic reaction of making everything usable by the body. We've got chelated additional minerals for some of those things that we want to make sure we're really getting enough. And we've got the fully reduced end-chain forms of key vitamins such as the vitamin B and the folate family. Real folate, no folic acid here, folks. So in addition, we've created these synergistic blends of evidence-based herbals and other naturals and so forth that you know, help to act as adaptogens with this product. We know you're going to love it. We're excited to offer it to you.
Well, one of the things that really impressed me, Paige, because you really put this whole thing together. I mean, I'm a pretty novice on this, and you have the knowledge of how to blend this. But what really made me excited is when the people who are mixing this and the chemist says, boy, Paige, you really know your stuff. This is a great product. I mean, they were excited about it.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, you know, I love my Premier Research Labs products. I mean, I love them, but we had a goal here.
Yes.
You know, how could we address a lot of needs? And we wanted to have something. We wanted to give people the primal edge,
yes,
the edge up. And that's what we want. We want to have an edge. And folks, we can't have an edge on nutrition. I don't care if you're a vegan. I don't care if you're a paleo primal person. I don't care if you're following a certain strict diet. If you are eating in America, you're nutritionally depleted because our soil's depleted. So we're going to bring the soil back to you. We're going to bring back what's in the soil that makes the food in a form that we can use it. And that combined with whatever is the healthy diet that gives you a broad spectrum of all the nutrients, including the fat-soluble nutrients, that's going to give you the best results.
Yeah, and if you're eating junk food, don't even bother, because you're losing right there. It's not going to help you unless you're on a balanced diet. So we expect you to do your own research and find out what's the best diet for you, and then add this into it, and you're going to be in really great shape.
And we're here to help you. Yep. And we got a good product, and we've got more good information coming up after our break. So give us a call.
877-927-6648. Please take a look at our Health Signals newsletter. Got a brand new issue out there, and it's filled with all the information you need.
And the great links, guys, so you can be part of the conversation.
We'll be right back, folks.
You've heard Nico Haan as co-host of Living a Primal Lifestyle, which airs every Friday at noon Eastern Time on TFNN, and would like to tell you about the personal training studio that Nico is the owner and president of, Performance Training. Since 1998, Nico has trained individuals and groups to improve their health both mentally and physically. As a certified personal trainer, Nico's main focus is on demonstrating exercises correctly to avoid injury and teaching his clients how to manage their past injuries while getting getting the most out of their personal training sessions. The Performance Training Studio is filled with unique training equipment that enhances balanced results at a faster rate while minimizing damage and discomfort. For more information, you can give Nico a call at 727-418-8740 or email him at nico@tfnn.com. Let him know you heard him on TFNN and save up to $100 on a special package just for TFNN listeners. Act today.
With the launch of Tiger TV, TFNN has brought our programming to the next level. With Tiger TV, you can gain access to each host's charts and computer screens as they host their daily stock program. Whether it's Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, David White, Larry Pesavento, Andy Hecht, Think or Swim, or Terrell Martin, you can catch all of our technicians hosting their programs live and archived on Tiger TV for your viewing pleasure 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you haven't checked out Tiger TV, then visit TFNN.com and see what you're missing.
Andy Hecht's powerful weekly newsletter, the Technomental Commodity Report, has delivered multiple triple-digit winning trades in recent months. And right now's the perfect time to get a full month-long trial to Andy's newsletter with no obligation to pay anything. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Technomental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you'll lock in the low rate of only $59 a month. Sign up right now for the Technomental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
You take a hands-on approach to managing your investments, and whether you're bullish or bearish on Chinese stocks, the ETFs from Direction Shares are there to help you magnify your perspective. Bull ETFs for a rising market and bear ETFs for a falling market. Direction Shares gives you the tools for both sides of the trade. Discover how we can help at DirectionShares.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction Shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction Shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction Shares at 800-851-0511. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors employing dynamic strategies. Investors in the fund should understand the consequences of seeking daily investment results, understand the risk of shorting, and intend to actively monitor and manage their investments. Distributor Foresight Fund Services, LLC.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. Nico and Paige take your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
Welcome back, Tigers and Tigresses. I'm Paige Clarke, and I'm with Nico Haan, and we're living a primal lifestyle.
Yes, we are.
And we can always count on the Tampa Bay Times to support big industry. Article says, all fat is bad, not so fast.
Yeah, this was interesting because it states right here at the top that people who avoid carbohydrates, eat more fat, even saturated fat, lose more body fat, and have fewer cardiovascular risks than people who follow the traditional low-fat diet.
And this is actually positive towards fat, but I noticed that they're very quick to get into the controversial subjects.
They'll always backtrack a little bit on it, but this was really financed by the National Institute of Health and published in the Annals of the Internal Medicine, so it does give a lot of validity. And there was a big group of 150 men and women who were assigned to do these two types of diets.
Right, we mentioned that. It came out on Monday, right, in the Annals of International Medicine. So I think what we really need to understand is fat is not bad.
Right.
We just have, that's what we're all about here. we want to make sure that you're making the best choices of the healthiest fats, because there are fats that are bad for you.
Yeah.
There are sugars that are bad for you.
Polyunsaturated fat in the vegetable grain form.
A high risk of
very
oxidation.
high risk, because they're, first of all, 25 steps or more to get that product into a form where you can take it, to leave it in a liquid. And it's all the studies really show, folks, that using these products got America where it's at today. It really did.
Yeah.
And margarine was, a cube of gray matter that they came up with that they had to color and make it look appetizing
It's the color
to
of
replace
nickel.
it. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's so disgusting.
It's very disgusting. It looks like a nickel, like a coin nickel.
Yeah.
And
then they color it and add those things, and then we were gobbling it up, thinking that we were doing our bodies good and we were doing our bodies bad.
First of all, it was cheaper, so that's a big incentive for people in our society. When it's cheaper, people naturally go to it. And the crime against America really is that the poorer you are and the lower down of the scale, these people are flocking to this food.
Right.
So when you see the poorer segment of the population, you see them much more unhealthy, and it really impacts all of us, because when it comes to health care, if they can't afford health care, everybody pays for it.
That's a good point, Nico.
So you'll find, and I've been reading up on this, and I've been following a blog by this guy that does a Primal podcast. Really interesting, where he says, you know what the wealthiest people are eating? And they're buying the farm, not the farm foods. They're buying wild animal food. They're buying or going out hunting, and they're buying the best organic that you can get. So the rich people know what's going on, and it should be available for everybody if we just get the paradigm changed, where we don't have these big food companies dictating what we can and cannot eat and what's available or not. And if you go into a real poor section of town, you don't find the big grocery stores. You'll find these little convenience stores that are selling food, and that's even worse.
And not really food. Merchandise that is food-like.
Yes.
You know.
So I really love this article that the fat is not bad, and it was a year-long trial, so it really gives some good information. And as you know, there's a lot of evidence coming out now. We're not mainstream, but if you start listening to some of those ancestral videos that are linked, and if you don't get the newsletter, folks, just go to my website and follow the ancestral videos, and you'll start gaining all kinds of information about what Paige and I really talk about on a daily basis. And these are experts. These are people with PhDs who've done their trials, who are living the type of lifestyle that we are, and they're coming from all cultures. There's people there from New Zealand. There's people there from American Indian tribes, people there from Patagonia, that are all saying the same thing. So I think it's important that you start reading and doing some of this research so you can change your mind.
And it's so important, because the key thing is that people say, well, I didn't see it on the news. Well, you have to stop and understand that the people that are funding the news that you see when you turn on your TV are supported by, just look at the commercials, folks, drug companies and food companies. If we are saying that their processed foods or their drugs are not necessary or inferior, and research shows that, that's not going to be something that they want to be publicized, and the dollars are going to rule. So you have to look to the alternative sources. It doesn't mean that the research is any less credible, folks, and it really hits a hot point with me.
Yeah.
For example, I utilize Sayer G, his Green Med Info, because Green Med Info is really, he's just going out to PubMed where all these things are out there, and he's looking for the stuff that proves that the natural substances were efficacious and they had good results. But see, nobody's going to pick that up because they're making money. They can't patent that. So it's about us interpreting the data and then using it to be healthier.
Yeah, and there's different stuff that comes out all the time, and we're trying to stay on top of this. There was an article that I saw that research finds no association between wearing a bra and breast cancer, and we were talking just a couple of weeks ago about what wearing bras does. So there's different conflicts of studies. I think it probably depends on the type of bra.
Right.
I don't know. I don't wear one. We'll be right back, folks. Give us a call.
Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's Nadex.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
The Path of Least Resistance is David White's daily trading newsletter, and if you're looking for active trading ideas, then now's a perfect time for a 30-day free trial to this powerful daily trading advisory service. David uses his years of trading experience to offer his subscribers his trading ideas each morning in his Path of Least Resistance newsletter. Using a combination of equity trades along with options, David keeps his subscribers up to date with all pertinent market information with intraday afternoon updates when warranted. Don't miss out on this great chance to get a 30-day free trial to David's daily newsletter, The Path of Least Resistance, with no obligation to pay anything. David has been delivering solid recommendations for his subscribers recently, and if you'd like to see the type of newsletter he delivers every morning, then visit the front page of TFNN, and you'll find The Path of Least Resistance under Trading Newsletters. For all the details and to start your 30-day free trial today, log on to TFNN.com now.
No matter where you listen to TFNN programming, we want you to know you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones and iPads, located at the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV, but if you don't have a mobile connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all of our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and radio call and talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com, educating investors. This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Welcome back to the show, folks. This is Nico and Paige on Living a Primal Lifestyle, and we're on the Primal Edge. And Paige, we've been going through the A's on, looking at all these different health tips
I'm
and
doing this
information.
A to Z health and healing empowerment. Again, we're not talking about. We're trying to say when you have signs and symptoms of things, maybe it's something you don't have, and maybe that something is nutrition.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Or maybe it's something you have too much of, and that might be toxicity.
Yeah.
Either way, that's a lot of the reasons why we've created a product, because we would like to have insurance today. And as I said in the previous segment, Nico, whether you're vegan, vegetarian, paleo, primal, upside down sitting on your header, whatever it is you're doing, most likely you are not getting the nutrition you need from the food, because although you might be eating the best choices of foods, the soil no longer has the nutrients that we need.
Yep.
And so, and trust me, there are people that are growing really nutrient-dense food, and it's quite the thing, and I bet you're not doing it even in your own garden.
Unless you have the right soil.
And there's things you can do, and you can add the fulvic and the humic to the soil.
And there's a lot of suppliers out there that actually produce that.
And we can get a source for that, and I think this is important things to talk about. But so I kind of wanted to move on into the C's a little bit, and you know, what is one thing? What is one nutritional product that you think of when we say C?
I guess calcium.
Yeah, calcium. It's the most abundant mineral in our bodies, and there's a lot of pro and con information about calcium. You know, there's some people that feel that we are overdosing on calcium, and there's a lot of research that indicates maybe we're having some situations where other diseases are presenting themselves as a result of this overdose. Well, what does that mean? What that tells me is that people are getting what? The wrong forms of calcium.
Yeah, and also, isn't there other vitamins that kind of help absorb calcium?
You got it. You got to have the synergist.
Okay.
And that's why we were so emphatic that we wanted the fat-soluble nutrition that's best gotten from your foods, but we wanted a little assurance in case you didn't get it.
So calcium is a fat-soluble vitamin?
Well, no, but the fat-soluble vitamins are the transporters and synergists. For example,
helps to get in the
vitamin K2, found most often. Weston Price identified that as the X factor, the secret factor that he didn't know that it was K2. We now know it is 2. That comes as a result of eating butter and dairy foods from cows that eat rapidly growing grass. K2 tells the calcium in your body to stay in your bones, stay in the tooth structure. Don't float around in the arteries and create havoc in the aortic valve or in the eyes and cataracts or in my joints, putting some forms of calcium like hydroxybate that we can't break down. Because if the body can't break it down, it's going to go stick it somewhere where it's not in the way of an internal organ. Another
form of that K2 is in your organ meats and things like that. Is that correct?
K2 might be, vitamin A is really there. It's also in the butter, but the K2, it's the best source is rapidly growing grass, and also natto, which is a fermented form of soybean. Remember, soy is not a toy for the girl or the boy. It's mostly genetically modified in this country, but if you get non-GMO fermented
miso, soy,
miso, tempeh, but the natto powder, I actually have a source for that, is an actually great assumable source.
And you can add that to just about anything.
You can make, I have a powder source that's that is actually a great source. But I like butter, and I like X Factor butter oil from Green Pastures. And so what we want to do is make sure that we're getting all those synergists and cofactors that help us get the calcium. But guess what? We also want to make sure we're not buying our calcium from big box stores that are giving us, and all these women that are running out in fear of that big O word, I mean osteoporosis, and they're using the right form of calcium that's an absorbable form, and not the calcium carbonates that are oftentimes not ionized or in a cell-ready form. This is why we love nature's miracle molecule, the fulvic humic molecules, which is nature's way of packaging minerals in an ionic, cell-ready, properly charged form. So we made sure our formula is based on that, period. We have added some extra electrolytes like calcium and magnesium, but we've added them in a chelated form that is assumable and chelated so it gets used by the body.
Now, a lot of times is calcium and magnesium kind of together because that helps. The
ideal, some people feel the ideal ratio of calcium to magnesium is a 2 to 1. We have purposely done it a 1 to 1 because I feel magnesium is so crucial. Magnesium is that, and salt water is pretty much the first thing you get if you go into an emergency room. We're so depleted because of our dependency on grains, and even if we don't eat them now, we had a lifetime probably as kids watching cartoons and eating the cereal. So, and magnesium is a great electrolyte, so I fear that we're a little off of that, and I think some of us get some additional calcium, so we went ahead and got a, because what we're working with our formula is actually, I try and get my clients to do a kind of a 5-step health and healing empowerment, because really it's you that's going to get yourself well. And the first step is to get your pH in an alkaline range. And we wanted to utilize these alkalizing calcium, magnesium, and some other things in there to help people get to a first morning pH that's in a healing mode, that's in a aerobic environment, not an anaerobic environment.
You know, when you mentioned that, the kids watching the TV, and the cereal boxes always, and having all these different cereals with the candies. Oh yeah, and I was too. And I remember the day that it changed. You know, but that's how devious these companies were, and maybe they didn't think about it as devious. What they thought about was selling their product and making money. But most of these Kellogg companies, Kellogg and Post and that, were actually doing other things before that time. They were growing hemp, and they were growing corn in a small manner for the sweet corn.
Well, if you actually knew it, it's kind of a paradox. Kellogg's, in Dunedin, I had a house in Dunedin, you know, just around the corner, and Dunedin Isles was actually a very it was planned to be a high-profile place where the rich in Chicago industrial, you know, Detroit and all that industrial area, in the 20s was going to come to have their summer homes. And I had a house there, and right around the corner, there's a mansion in Dunedin. They call it the Kellogg Mansion, and it was the Kellogg. He was a health nut. He probably would have never eaten that cereal. That was purely a business. Hey, let's high heat, you know, process these grains, which makes them damaging. We can't even use them, but it makes us lots of money. But he was doing things like drinking cultured whey and doing juice fasting and eating whole foods.
Michigan.
Yeah, Battle Creek. That's what I was saying. You know, Michigan. There's a lot of industrialists that were coming down. Okay, so going back to calcium. You know, it is the most abundant mineral in our body. We need it. We need it in forms we can use, and we need to make sure we have something that makes sure if we get an imbalance of the ones that we can't use and the ones that we can use, that there's something that helps to do that alchemy, and that's our miracle molecule in this process. You know, how do you know if you have osteoporosis? You know, quite frankly, I believe that this disease has become a big moneymaker for industry. I mean, look at it. 75% of people over 65 who fracture a hip or a leg bone, they don't live 90 days. It's a horrible disease, and there's lots of money spent on it when it could very simply be addressed with a proper, assumable form of calcium. Other signs that you don't have enough calcium can be receding gums. See, when the bones are being broken down, if your body does not have enough soft tissue mineral stores, and that's what first step in great health is, achieve an ideal pH balance, because if you don't have the right pH balance, you are breaking down bones and teeth to alkalize your blood, because there's no minerals in the tissue. Everything is secondary.
Yeah.
So, you know, we talk about flossing and brushing. Did you know, people, that Weston Price study, they didn't even have a toothbrush? They had the most beautiful wide-arched dentition.
And their jaws are a lot wider, too.
That's the whole bone structure. That's eating the fat-soluble nutrition.
And I was actually feeling here, and I can feel that small indentation here.
Yeah.
And
and I have it, too.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, it actually was a viewer that made the comment, you know, you know, maybe some osteoporosis. Unfortunately, I'm sure we all have it. Although my tests say that I'm not osteoporotic.
I think you know, this structure started when we were kids.
Well, if you feel it, you go touch a child, like my teenage son, that jaw is rock solid, straight line.
So as you get older, it just deteriorates there.
Well, we start going after the jawbone, you know, because that's not part of the main erect skeletal structure, and then the teeth start loosening, the gums start loosening. So calcium is a really important.
Funny, this morning I was cracking open one of my grass-fed eggs, actually pastured eggs, and I couldn't get the darn thing to break. I'm thinking, boy, these things are so strong. And really, that shows you just a chicken running around, getting its own food. It knows what to eat, produces a eggshell that is rock solid. You can roll it around, and it's not going to break.
Have you picked up one of those eggs that you pick it up and you can barely take it out of the carton?
And I have to whack this thing a few times to get it to break. So that's really
you're definitely getting them from the right sources. You know.
I am.
So if you are having receding gums, folks, you know, there's microbes involved, but they're skeletal, multi-mineral. So what is it about? It's really about making sure that you have the necessary nutrients and that you have them in a form your body can use, and that's what we're all about with the Primal Edge.
Yes.
You know, 85% of all arthritis is caused by wear and tear on the joints. All of these things are really, arthritis is really an effect
A degeneration.
Osteoporosis of the end joints.
Yeah.
I mean, let's get around it. A lot of more people have so-called osteoporosis. And remember what I've talked about. If there's degeneration, your body has a cleanup crew. And pathogens are going to go to those spots, create infection. Yeast is going to go there to break up the dead tissue. So we get it's like a invitation. Hey, all you bad guys, come here. I've got this joint in my elbow is breaking down, and the bad guys go there. So that's why we're always looking to disinfect.
Yeah, I remember in biology class, one of the statesmen was always, every 7 years, every cell in your body gets replaced and is regenerating itself. And I think that's true if you're healthy, but if you have these conditions where you're eating poor quality food, then your body is so busy trying to get rid of the toxins, and it doesn't have time to do its regular maintenance, which is the replacement of those cells. So you're new.
And if your body doesn't have the edge of essential nutrition, as we've shown you, you're going to possibly choose and make a compromised copy of that DNA, which is basically what aging and disease is. So when we get all the initial vitamins, minerals, essential coenzyme factors, amino acids, etc., then our body is going to most likely pick the right code off the shelf.
Yeah, because it's healthy, it knows what to do. It's kind of like if you're feeling down, you might be making some wrong decisions that day. But when you're feeling great, it seems like everything's going great, and the decisions you make personally. And that's right down to the DNA level, I really believe, that your body knows what it's doing, but it has to be healthy to do that.
Right. And we talk a little bit about calcium and high blood pressure or hypertension. Did you know that most hypertension or high blood pressure is a sign that you're seriously deficient in all minerals, but particularly maybe these electrolytes, the calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium. Okay? So a lot of times they actually did a study. Everyone seems to assign the idea that if you have high blood pressure, you should go on a low-salt diet. Did you know that the research proved that are not a tick?
Nonsense.
But now we know, because now we have a high processed food diets and products available to us, that those companies are using the toxic heated 1600-degree table salt in these lean cuisine dinners. Yes, you're getting a lot of, I don't even consider that salt. That's a toxic chemical that's salt-like.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that the calcium and magnesium were electrolytes, because we don't often think about it. We think about it, well, it's a mineral. It's a hard substance, but it's an ionic substance. It's charged. It's electric.
It is, and we are electric beings, and we need to have this voltage of these key electrolytes. And that's why, I love the Swear V, because it's an electrolyte-rich. I mean, one bottle of that cultured whey has 900 milligrams of potassium, and so that's huge. But I just want you to be aware that if people are telling you you've got high blood pressure, the first thing everybody does is they cut out the salt. Well, what do? They're just cutting out more of their electricity generating
and of course
substance.
you have to be eating good quality salts. You can't be eating that.
It has to be air-dried, unheated sea salts. Either the Celtic salts from ancient seabeds, Celtic, Himalayan. I like Premier's pink salt. I don't carry it because I make a lot of money on it, because we really don't. It's just something I order it, and I sell out every week. I order more. I think it's the best tasting salt out there, and it's a mix of air-dried pink salt along with a volcanic mineral substance, which is not unlike what we're talking about.
If your salt is pure white, it's probably the wrong salt most of the time.
If you're having problems sleeping, it's quite possible you have a calcium deficiency. And it's not because you have a sleeping pill deficiency. So try a little calcium. You've heard a lot of people talk about taking their product Calm. Calm is a great product that you can sip at night before you go to bed, or you could take a shot of Primal Edge.
There you go.
And get a little dose
folks,
of it.
take a look at my website. I've got the Primal Edge on there in my Health Signals newsletter. And what I want you to do too is take a look at the fulvic acid, humic acid. If you don't get the newsletter, look it up, or look up the fulvic and humic, and you're going to find out these are soil-based nutritions that everybody is saying pretty much the same thing about how essential they are.
Well, the research is showing, drug companies are trying to patent it. They can't, folks. This is really important stuff. And what I really want to do, Nico, for our listeners, is I want us to list some links to some really important benchmarks on why is fulvic humic so important, but even further, why the fulvic and humic that we chose is the best.
Yes, we'll do that. Folks, the number here is 877-927-6648. You still have time to give us a call. We have one more segment left, I believe. Yep. Boy, time is flying here. We're having fun.
See you after the break.
Daryl Martin coined the phrase diagnostic trading, and we're happy to announce that his diagnostic box spread analyzer has finally been released. The Diagnostic Box Spread Analyzer helps you easily identify the best box spreads on Nadex in seconds, plus you receive access to the diagnostic deviation levels, as well as step-by-step training videos teaching you how to trade Nadex spreads so you can quickly master the mechanics of this simple yet powerful trading instrument. By pulling live data from the Nadex exchange, the Diagnostic Box Spread Analyzer does all the math for you, calculating risk, reward potential, distance to break even for both outright spreads and spreads used to hedge the underlying market. Visit the front page of TFNN.com today to get your 2-week free trial to Daryl Martin's Diagnostic Box Spread Analyzer and gain access to the valuable information it can provide when trading the Nadex box spreads.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
We're told to follow our passion and everything else will fall into place. I hope that's what each of you are doing each and every day. Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Money Master Show at TFNN.com, and my passion for technical analysis is what led me to the most fundamental discovery in pattern recognition, the Rhodes Momentum Indicator, market scanner, and trading strategy. A set of tools that identify the momentum and power of the trend, the likes of which have never been seen before, for every market and every time frame. Yes, folks, the trend is your friend, unless you're on the other side. New to technical analysis? This is the place to start. And experienced traders, take advantage of the trend like never before. Experience the power of the Rhodes Momentum Indicator each day, available to subscribers of my newsletter service, Mastering Probability. I guarantee your satisfaction for the next 30 days unconditionally, so there's no risk to you other than being on the wrong side of the trend. Mastering Probability, available on the homepage of TFNN.com. And folks, live with passion.
Up next, the Diagnostics Trading Hour with Daryl Martin here on TFNN.
Welcome back, Nico. You know, we're we're talking about it all the time. You and I like living a wild life, living a primal life, like doing what feels natural. We want you to live that way too. We want to live in a way that feels natural and right. And article here out of Australia, school bans children from cartwheels and handstands without adult supervision. Says they also were fearful of injuries. Maybe those kids aren't getting enough essential nutrition, that they're breaking bones.
That was my immediate thought, that these kids are on a diet, and what's happening is degrading our population in such a way that now you can't even do we used to just bounce around and
fall off the thing and twirl around and wrestling and everything.
Yeah, I mean, what if you get hit with a ball? I was listening to Adam Curry the other day on his No Agenda show, which is a great, and it's his 50th birthday this last week, and he was mentioning, he says, here I'm in Holland, and he's in Amsterdam with all his friends and family over there, and he's saying, we have bicycles here, and Holland is the bicycle.
Yeah, that's like you bicycle and you leave
everywhere.
there, the city that has the bikes, right?
And nobody wears helmets.
Right.
Nobody wears, all this gear that we wear here in the United States. You can't go on a bike. I mean, it's almost against the law for certain people to be on a bike and you don't have a helmet on.
But, I do think when you're doing the kind of racing, but just to drive around.
Course.
But when you're doing racing and you're going 40,
well, we don't have a friendly environment for bicycles because we're here on the streets, and in Holland, most of the traffic is bicycles. Here, it's a much more dangerous
So they're kind of calling this safety madness. And maybe that's what's happening. We're turning our children into being fearful of doing what we should be doing naturally, which is rolling around the dirt, playing, falling, laughing, moving. In fact, there was one school that the children were punished with detention if they were caught hugging or touching their friends, boys or girls. What's happening? Are they trying to change what we really are? Because we are touching, moving, bending.
I know here in America
beings.
we're having less and less recess and playtime, so the kids probably aren't used to it.
Right.
So, if you give the kids an hour and a half a day to play, they're naturally going to do these things, and it'll be good for them. If you start feeding these children, if you're really interested in education and having healthy children, you're going to feed them the best stuff on the planet. It just makes sense.
Yeah.
And I just don't understand the whole thing.
You're going to make sure they've got good, solid sugar and all kinds of things.
I was reading a book the other day, and it was about bathing. It was really interesting because the pioneers who came over here and people in Europe would bathe maybe once a year. Which was amazing to me because, we take showers once or twice a day here in Florida, for sure. And so I did a little digging on the history of the American Indian, which has always been my passion. And I think in here someplace I had a history of the personal hygiene of the American Indians. And they really go into depth about that the Indians were daily bathers. Which we are here now. So I don't know why this isn't coming up, but this doesn't matter too much. But they have that the Indians combed their hair and really paid attention to hygiene.
Well, the other thing I was going to say is that the difference now is they were probably bathing in beautiful fresh springs and water that was properly structured. Right now we've got chlorine and fluoride coming out of the tap, and then the two mess with it and they produce chloramines, which is even worse, and we come out of our shower basically high from the the inhalation of these toxic chemicals. So honestly, I like the old PTA bath, because
You get the whole community in there?
No, I won't go there. That's just little spots.
Oh, you're talking about community bathing?
No, I'm talking about just maybe not always subjecting yourself to all that shower, the steam of the shower. The places you really need to wash.
Well, I have a good filter on my shower, and I'm good to go. So.
Have you ever seen the bathing where they do in India, where they put the oil on, then you use like a credit card or something firm, and you scrape?
Oh,
I think that feels really good.
I've never tried that.
It feels like it helps to emulsify the dead skin.
Yeah,
let's talk more about bathing. Hippocrates said, drink cultured whey, take a bath, and get a massage every day, you live forever. I like that idea.
I wish I could afford that.
Yeah, me too.
Folks, that's our show today. Thanks a lot for sticking around.
Have a great week.
Next week, not only my birthday, but Primal Edge debut.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Okay.
See you then.
See ya.
You've heard Basil Chapman on the air as the host of the Tiger Technicians Hour, and now's your chance to spend a full day learning his trading methodology, the Chapman Wave. Basil has taught thousands of students his trading methods over the years, and on Friday, September 12th, he'll be hosting a one-day online Master Trader Series class. Included is a month of his daily newsletter, The Opening Call, a $128 value. Basil will cover a variety of topics and techniques that he uses when looking at key charting patterns that repeat consistently in the market and that you can add to your trading methodology. You have access to the full 8-hour archive for a period of 30 days, as well as availability to ask questions of Basil in the month following the course as you practice what he teaches in this full-day Master Trader class. For all the details, visit TFNN.com and sign up for Basil Chapman's Master Trader class on Friday, September 12th. Reserve your seat today.
You're watching Tiger TV.